The night sky has always held humanity in its thrall. But what if ancient cultures understood the cosmos far better than we ever imagined? We are about to journey through 30 celestial secrets, from forgotten observatories to the star maps that guided pharaohs and kings. By the end, you will see the constellations not just as distant lights, but as a lost library of human knowledge. We will uncover how a Greek shipwreck held a 2,000-year-old computer and why a temple ceiling in Egypt might chart a 26,000-year celestial cycle. What single mystery of the stars most captures your own imagination? High above the sands of Egypt, within the temple of Hathor at Dendera, a stone sky awaits. A massive circular slab, intricately carved, covers the ceiling. This is the Zodiac of Dendera, a breathtakingly detailed map of the cosmos. You can see familiar figures there, a bull for Taurus, a lion for Leo, and a pair of fish for Pisces. But this is not a simple picture. The entire arrangement is a complex diagram of stars and constellations, a snapshot of the heavens frozen in stone. The central question that has baffled researchers for centuries is its true purpose. Was this a sacred calendar meant to align temple rituals with the movements of the gods in the sky? Or was it a sophisticated astronomical instrument, a permanent observatory ceiling that allowed priests to track time itself through the slow dance of the stars? The most compelling clue lies not just in what it shows, but in when it shows it. The specific positions of the constellations on the slab appear to record a moment in time, a precise celestial alignment. This is where the debate truly ignites, because dating that alignment suggests the creators understood a phenomenon that takes 26,000 years to complete, the gradual wobble of Earth's axis known as precession. Could the priests of Dendera have mapped a cycle so vast it defies human perception? The zodiac presents a profound duality, a perfect fusion of spiritual belief and scientific observation, challenging our very timeline of astronomical discovery. While the priests of Dendera were mapping the heavens in stone, another civilization was engineering them in bronze, deep in the Aegean Sea, off the coast of a tiny Greek island named Antikythera. A shipwreck from the 1st century before the Common Era held a secret that would rewrite history. Sponge-divers stumbled upon the wreck in the year 1900, and among the statues and artifacts they recovered a corroded, lumpy mass of bronze and wood. It seemed unremarkable at first, just another piece of ancient junk, but decades later, when archaeologists finally looked closer, they saw the truth. This was no simple lump. It was a device of astonishing complexity, a clockwork universe held in the palm of your hand. We now call it the Antikythera Mechanism. Through painstaking analysis, researchers realized they were looking at the world's first known analog computer. Its intricate system of at least 30 interlocking bronze gears was a mechanical representation of the cosmos. By turning a hand crank, an ancient user could calculate the movements of the sun and the moon, predict the positions of known planets, and even forecast lunar phases and eclipse cycles with remarkable accuracy. This was not just a calendar, it was a dynamic working model of the sky, a machine that could show you the celestial dance for any given date. The implications are staggering. This device, over 2,000 years old, demonstrates a level of scientific and technical prowess that we simply did not attribute to the ancient Hellenistic world. Its gearwork employs a level of miniaturization and complexity that would not be seen again until the mechanical clocks of 18th century Europe. It means that a select few in the workshops of ancient Greece possessed a profound understanding of astronomical cycles and mechanical engineering that was lost for millennia. The Antikythera Mechanism stands as a silent, rusted testament to a golden age of science, a peak of human genius that was tragically submerged by the tides of time. It forces us to ask what other marvels of knowledge were lost and what the true ceiling of ancient understanding really was. Yet the genius of the Antikythera mechanism was confined to a single, intricate box. Far to the west, on the vast, arid plains of Peru, an ancient people conceived of a celestial computer on a truly monumental scale. Here, the very desert itself became the canvas. The Nazca Lines are a collection of hundreds of giant geoglyphs etched into the dark desert pavement to reveal the lighter earth beneath. From the ground, they are bewildering, mere scratches on the landscape. But from the air, their true grandeur is revealed. You see a colossal hummingbird, a sprawling spider, a massive monkey with an intricately coiled tail. These are not just random drawings. Many researchers believe they are a massive, open-air celestial calendar written on the floor of the world. The straight lines, some stretching for miles across the desert, are the key. Certain of these immense pathways point directly to the spot on the horizon where the sun rises or sets on the June and December solstices. Others align with the rising points of important stars and constellations that were sacred to the Nazca people. It is as if the entire plateau was transformed into a giant observatory, where walking the lines was a way of tracking the seasons and the passage of time itself. But why create something so vast it can only be fully appreciated from the heavens? This leads to a more profound theory. Perhaps these lines were not just for looking at the sky, but for communicating with it. They might have been sacred pathways meant for ceremonial processions that mirrored the movements of the stars above, a desperate attempt to bring order to the cosmos and plead with the gods for water and fertile land. The desert floor became a prayer, a permanent ritual landscape designed to align the human world with the divine clockwork of the universe. A world away from the Peruvian desert, another culture was wrestling with the same cosmic questions, but their solution was carved from solid rock. On the windswept Salisbury Plain in England, the monolithic stones of Stonehenge stand as a silent, brooding puzzle. For generations, it was seen as a primitive temple or a druid ceremonial ground. But a closer look at its architecture reveals a startling secret. This ring of giant sarsen stones is not a random arrangement. It is a meticulously engineered astronomical observatory, built with a precision that rivals modern instruments. The most famous alignment is with the heel stone, a massive, weathered sentinel that stands just outside the main circle. If you stand at the center of Stonehenge and look through the entranceway on the morning of the summer solstice, you will witness the sun rise directly over the peak of the heel stone, its rays flooding the heart of the monument. This was no accident. The builders hauled this multi-ton stone from miles away and placed it with an accuracy that captures the longest day of the year. But the solstice alignment is only the beginning. The monument also tracks the far more complex cycles of the moon. Certain stones and openings align with the lunar standstills, the extreme points on the horizon where the moon rises and sets over an 18.6-year cycle. To perceive and then encode this long, slow rhythm into permanent stone required generations of sustained observation, a tradition of sky watching passed down over centuries. Consider the sheer, back-breaking effort this represents. These stones, some weighing over 25 tons, were dragged across the landscape for dozens of miles, then shaped and raised by a society without the wheel or metal tools. The investment of time, labor, and social organization is almost unimaginable. This forces a profound realization. The Bronze Age builders of Stonehenge were not simple sun worshippers. They were master astronomers and engineers who possessed a deep, empirical understanding of celestial mechanics. They transformed tons of earth and stone into a permanent, predictable calendar, a stone computer that connected their world to the cosmos. This was more than a temple. It was their library, their clock, and their enduring testament to the human drive to find order in the heavens. While Stonehenge tracked the sun and moon with stone, the ancient Egyptians mastered the stars with a system of celestial timekeeping so precise it governed their entire civilization. Their secret lay not in a single monument, but in the predictable rhythm of specific stars. The most crucial of these was Sirius, the brightest star in our night sky, which the Egyptians called Solstices. For them, its reappearance was a moment of profound importance. After a period of invisibility, Sirius would emerge just before dawn in a brilliant flash on the eastern horizon. This event, known as the Heliacal Rising, always coincided with the annual flooding of the Nile River. This was not just a happy coincidence, it was the foundation of their calendar and their society. The life-giving inundation, which deposited rich, fertile silt across the farmlands, marked the beginning of their new year. By watching for Solstices, Egyptian priests could predict the flood, a power that allowed them to plan the agricultural cycle and secure the stability of the kingdom. It was a direct celestial signal that the gods were renewing the land, but their astronomical genius did not stop with a single star. They developed an intricate system for telling time throughout the entire night. They divided the sky into 36 small star groups, which we call decans. These decans would rise consecutively, one after another, on the horizon throughout the hours of darkness. Each new decan rising marked the start of a new hour, creating a celestial clock face that rotated across the heavens. This star clock was so vital that it was meticulously documented. Inside the lids of royal coffins and across the ceilings of tombs and temples, you can find detailed diagrams of these decans. These were not just decorative maps, they were functional star tables. A priest or astronomer could use these charts to identify which decan was rising on a given night, and thus know the exact time until dawn. This system fused the practical with the sacred. Knowing the hour was essential for conducting nighttime religious rituals at the precise moment deemed most powerful by the gods. The stars were their timekeepers, their calendar, and their divine messengers, all woven into a single, elegant system that turned the night sky into the world's most reliable clock. Across the ocean, another civilization was charting the heavens with a mathematical precision that still astounds us today. The Maya of Mesoamerica possessed an astronomical knowledge so deep it was woven into the very fabric of their society. Their genius is preserved in bark paper books called codices, and the most famous of these, the Dresden Codex, contains celestial secrets that rival any modern almanac. Within its intricately painted pages, you will find detailed charts tracking the movements of the Moon, Mars, and most importantly, the planet Venus. To the Maya, Venus was not just a bright light in the sky, it was a powerful deity, a god of war. They meticulously calculated its complex cycle, the time it takes for Venus to return to the same point in the sky relative to the Sun. We know this cycle lasts approximately 584 days, and the Maya astronomers calculated it too within a few hours. Imagine the dedication required to observe and record this pattern over generations without any optical instruments. But for them, this was not abstract science. The rising and setting of Venus were divine commands. The Dresden Codex contains elaborate Venus tables that allowed priests to predict the planet's position decades, even centuries into the future. These predictions were not for curiosity, they were for survival and power. The appearance of Venus as the morning star was seen as a baleful omen, a time of ill fortune and conflict. Maya rulers would schedule their military campaigns to coincide with these specific celestial events, believing the god of war was lending them his strength. Conversely, the movements of Venus also dictated the timing of peace ceremonies and agricultural rituals, ensuring that planting and harvesting were in harmony with the cosmos. The sky was a divine script, and by learning to read it, the Maya believed they could influence the will of the gods and ensure the continuity of their world. Their astronomy was a sacred duty, a form of celestial diplomacy where a misread table or a miscalculated cycle could mean the difference between a bountiful harvest and total devastation. That same impulse to carve celestial time into the landscape appears in the American Southwest, etched onto a massive butte under the vast New Mexico sky. High atop Fajada Butte in Chaco Canyon, three massive, vertical stone slabs lean against the cliff face. For most of the year, they are silent, imposing sentinels. But at key moments, they perform a precise and breathtaking dance with the sun. As the sun climbs, its light filters through the narrow gaps between these giant stones, and a brilliant blade of light, a sun dagger, slices across the rock wall behind them. This dagger of light does not fall randomly. It strikes directly onto a spiral petroglyph carved into the cliff, a stone circle with a coiled center. On the summer solstice, the dagger of light perfectly bisects the center of the spiral. On the winter solstice, two daggers of light bracket the spiral on either side. And during the equinoxes, a smaller, sharper blade of light pierces the center of a smaller, adjacent spiral. This was not a chance arrangement. The ancestral Puebloans who built this site over 1,000 years ago positioned these multi-ton slabs with incredible care, calibrating them to act as a celestial calendar. They transformed a natural rock formation into a sophisticated solar observatory, one that marked the turning of the seasons with unerring accuracy. This knowledge was everything. It told them when to plant, when to harvest, and when to hold the most sacred ceremonies to honor the cosmic order. The sun dagger is a moment of pure, transient magic, a flash of light that connects the human world to the grand machinery of the heavens, proving that even without metal or written language, their understanding of the sun's path was as profound as any civilization's. While the Maya used Venus to plan their wars, an even older tradition was being born in the Fertile Crescent, one that would shape our view of the heavens for millennia. In the great cities of ancient Babylon, the night sky was not just a clock or a calendar, it was a direct message board from the gods. Babylonian astronomer priests spent centuries with their eyes fixed on the cosmos, meticulously recording everything they saw. They inscribed their observations on thousands of clay tablets, creating an archive of celestial events that is staggering in its detail. They tracked the steady march of planets, the sudden, terrifying disappearance of the moon during an eclipse, and the ominous, unpredictable arrival of comets, which they called hairy stars. But they were not just stargazers, they were interpreters. They believed with absolute certainty that every celestial event was an omen, a divine warning or promise concerning the fate of their king and their empire. If Mars approached the moon in a certain way, it might foretell an enemy invasion. A lunar eclipse could be a sign of the king's impending illness or death. Their entire system, known as celestial divination, was a high-stakes effort to read the will of the gods in the stars, to anticipate disaster and secure the kingdom's future. This practice, however superstitious it seems, was the crucible in which true astronomy was forged. To predict an omen, you first had to predict the celestial event itself. This relentless drive to anticipate the gods forced them to discover the repeating cycles of the planets and the patterns behind eclipses. They began to see the universe not as a series of random divine acts, but as a system that operated by discernible rules. This was the monumental, if unintended, birth of predictive mathematical astronomy. The Babylonian legacy is therefore a profound duality. They looked up and saw messages from gods, but in their desperate attempt to decode those messages, they laid down the fundamental laws of Western astronomy and created the 12-sign zodiac that our astrology still uses today. They sought to control fate, and in doing so, they gave us the tools to understand the cosmos. The Chinese court astronomers of the Shang dynasty cast their questions not to the stars, but onto the scorched bones of oxen and the plastrons of turtles. These oracle bones, heated until they cracked, were believed to reveal the will of the ancestors and the gods. But etched around the cracks and prophecies are some of humanity's oldest and most precise astronomical records. The inscriptions speak of a guest star appearing in the sky, a brilliant new light that would shine for months before fading away. Modern astronomers recognize these as supernova, the violent deaths of distant suns. Another bone records a celestial omen in stark, ancient script, stating that on the night of the day Jai Si, the moon was eaten. This is a clear, unambiguous record of a lunar eclipse, an event that filled the royal court with dread. For the Shang rulers, these were not mere natural phenomena. A supernova was a new and powerful celestial presence, a guest star whose arrival signaled a shift in the cosmic balance. A lunar eclipse with the moon slowly vanishing in the Earth's shadow was seen as a direct attack by a celestial dragon, a terrifying sign of divine displeasure. The interpretation of these events fell to the court diviners, and their readings were matters of life and death. A bad omen could mean that the king had lost the favor of heaven, that his rituals had been insufficient, or that a military campaign was doomed to fail. This practice laid the ideological foundation for the mandate of heaven, the core belief that a ruler's right to govern was granted and could be revoked by the celestial powers. Every eclipse and every new star was a potential report card from the cosmos, a verdict on the emperor's virtue. This constant celestial scrutiny created an unbroken tradition of observation, a bureaucratic need to watch the sky with an eagle eye, ensuring that the empire itself remained in harmony with the universe. While empires on the mainland were building monuments to the stars, the Polynesian people became the stars themselves, navigating the world's largest ocean in nothing more than voyaging canoes. Their secret was a living map of the sky, a mental construct known as the star compass. This was not a physical object, but a sophisticated system of orientation taught through chance and direct experience, passed from master navigator to apprentice. It divided the horizon into 32 distinct houses, much like the points on a modern compass rose. But instead of magnetic north, each house was defined by the precise rising or setting point of a specific, reliable star. The brilliant Sirius might mark one house, while the steady belt of Orion marked another. A master navigator would memorize the entire dome of the night sky, knowing which star rose in which house and, crucially, where it would be at any given hour of the night. They were not just following a single star, they were dancing with the entire celestial sphere as it rotated overhead. This knowledge alone was revolutionary, but their genius extended far beyond the stars. They learned to read the ocean itself as a text. They could identify specific swells, waves that had traveled for thousands of miles from distant weather systems, and feel their direction through the roll of the canoe. They watched for patterns in the clouds, which often gathered over unseen islands still beyond the horizon. Even the flight paths of birds became crucial signposts. Certain seabirds would fly out to sea to fish at dawn and return to land at dusk, so spotting them meant an island was near. All of this information, the stars, the swells, the clouds, and the birds, was woven together into a single, continuous mental picture of their position in a trackless sea. They could sail for weeks, covering thousands of miles, and arrive at a tiny island with nothing but this accumulated wisdom to guide them. This was not mere wayfinding, it was a profound conversation with the natural world, a testament to human memory and observation that allowed them to conquer the Pacific long before the compass was ever invented. The Pawnee people of the North American plains built a universe within their villages. Their entire community was a reflection of the night sky, with each earth lodge meticulously positioned to mirror a specific star in the heavens. Stepping into one of these villages was like walking across a living star chart. The circular lodges, with their central smoke holes aligned to the 4 cardinal directions, were not just homes, they were terrestrial stars. The dome of the sky was not a distant, abstract place. It was the original blueprint for their society, a direct and sacred map that connected their daily lives to the cosmic order. Specific constellations held profound meaning. The semicircle of stars we call Corona Borealis was not a celestial crown to them, it was the council of chiefs. Each bright star represented an elder or a leader, their positions in the sky mirroring the seating arrangement in the council lodge during important meetings. This was more than symbolism, it was a divine mandate, a constant reminder that their social and political order was sanctioned by the stars themselves. And the great river of light arching overhead, the Milky Way, was seen as the pathway of departed spirits. They believed that after death, a person's spirit would travel along this luminous road to the village of the dead in the south. The sky was not separate from their world. It was its spiritual and structural foundation, a constant, visible reminder that the patterns of human life were woven directly into the fabric of the cosmos. This same impulse to mark the solstices with earth and wood appeared in the heart of Europe long before the Romans ever marched. In a quiet field in Germany, a pattern of concentric rings and ditches lay hidden for millennia until aerial photography revealed its ghostly imprint in the soil. This is the Zodiac Circle, a Neolithic monument built around 4,900 years ago, making it one of the world's oldest known solar observatories. It is often called the German Stonehenge, but its design is uniquely its own. The site consists of a simple circular ditch with an inner ring of wooden palisades. But the true genius of its construction lies in its three precise gates, set at equal distances around the circle. Two of these gates form a narrow corridor that points directly to the southeast and the southwest. On the winter solstice, if you stand at the center of this enclosure, you would witness the sun rise through the southeastern gate, track a low, shallow arc across the sky, and then set perfectly through the southwestern gate. The entire short, cold day of the year was framed by this wooden architecture. The third gate, facing north, remains more mysterious, perhaps aligned with other celestial bodies or serving a different ceremonial purpose. What is truly compelling about Zodiac is that it is not alone. It is part of a much larger family. Over 100 of these circular enclosures, dating from the same period, have been discovered scattered across Germany, Austria, and the Czech Republic. This was not an isolated cult, but a widespread, shared tradition stretching across Central Europe. These enclosures were likely more than just calendars. They were likely centers of social and spiritual life, places where communities gathered to mark the sun's crucial turning point, to perform rituals that encouraged its return, and to reaffirm their connection to the cosmic cycle that governed their survival. The Zodiac Circle represents a collective awakening, a moment in prehistory when farming communities across a continent began to build their understanding of the heavens directly into the landscape, creating a network of sacred time. The Australian Aboriginal understanding of the cosmos reveals a perspective entirely unique in the world of ancient astronomy. While most cultures connected the stars to form pictures of gods and heroes, Aboriginal sky watchers saw a different kind of canvas. They looked not at the brilliant points of light, but at the dark, dusty spaces between them. There, arching across the celestial river of the Milky Way, they saw the form of a giant emu. This is not a constellation of stars, but a dark constellation, a silhouette painted in cosmic dust. Its head is formed by the dark nebula near the Southern Cross, its long neck and bulky body stretching along the dark rift of the galaxy. This emu in the sky was not a static symbol, it was a dynamic, living calendar. Throughout the year, the position of the Milky Way shifts in the night sky. In the Australian autumn, around April, the emu appears to be standing upright on the horizon, as if it is running. This celestial event coincided perfectly with the time when real, terrestrial emus were fattening up and beginning their own breeding season, laying their large, nutritious eggs. The appearance of the upright emu in the sky was a direct signal to the people. It told them that the eggs were now ready to be gathered, a crucial and reliable food source. Later in the year, as the Milky Way arches high overhead, the dark emu seems to dissolve, its form breaking apart. This signaled that the egg-laying season was over. The emu's changing posture was a precise, annual bulletin from the universe, dictating the timing of hunting and gathering with an accuracy that sustained communities for tens of thousands of years. This was a profound fusion of myth and survival, where the void between the stars held the most practical and vital information, guiding a deep, sustainable relationship with the land. Across the channel from Stonehenge on the windswept coast of Brittany stands a megalithic mystery on a scale that is almost incomprehensible. The Karnak alignments consist of over 3,000 individual standing stones arranged in long, parallel rows that stretch for miles across the French countryside. Walking among these granite sentinels is an overwhelming experience. You are not facing a single circle, but a vast, organized army of stone, a landscape deliberately transformed by human hands. The sheer scale of the labor involved is staggering, but the true mystery lies in their purpose. Why would a prehistoric society invest such colossal effort to erect this forest of stone? One of the most compelling theories is that the alignments functioned as a giant astronomical observatory. The rows are not randomly placed, they are precisely oriented, with the primary axis pointing to the horizon where the sun rises at the solstices. But the lunar connections are even more intriguing. Some researchers propose that specific lines were built to mark the extreme rising and setting points of the moon during its complex 18.6-year cycle, the same cycle tracked by the builders of Stonehenge. If this is true, then the entire site could have served as a colossal calendar, its long stone avenues acting as sight lines that allowed priests or astronomers to predict the moon's most dramatic movements. Imagine a community using these permanent markers to anticipate celestial events that govern their rituals and their understanding of time. Yet the precise function remains one of archaeology's great puzzles. Were these processional pathways for ceremonies that mirrored the moon's journey, or were they a physical representation of a cosmic order, a permanent creed written in granite? The stones of Karnak hold their silence, a vast and silent codex whose celestial language we are still struggling to decipher. High in the Andes, the Inca Empire engineered a sacred landscape of invisible lines. From the heart of their capital, Cusco, radiated an intricate web of 41 pathways known as the Sec system. These were not physical roads, but conceptual lines of spiritual energy, connecting the city's central temple to hundreds of sacred places or huacas scattered across the surrounding mountains and valleys. A huaca could be a spring, a cave, an oddly shaped rock, or a mountain peak. Each one was a point of contact with the divine, and the Sec lines bound them all into a single, organized network that mapped the Inca universe. But this system was far more than a religious directory. It was a celestial calendar carved into the very earth. Specific Sec lines were meticulously aligned with the rising and setting points of crucial stars and constellations. The Pleiades star cluster, which the Inca called Colca, was of paramount importance. Its heliacal rising, its first appearance in the dawn sky, signaled the beginning of the planting season. Priests would watch for it from a designated huaca along its specific Sec line, and its arrival would trigger a flurry of agricultural activity across the empire. Similarly, the Southern Cross, known as Chacana, was another celestial deity whose movements were tracked through this terrestrial web. The entire Sec system functioned as a massive, decentralized observatory. By monitoring the sky from different huacas along these sacred lines, the Inca could track the passage of time, predict seasonal changes, and maintain a cosmic order they believed was essential for their survival. The welfare of the state, the success of the harvest, and the health of the emperor were all seen as dependent on this perfect alignment between the terrestrial and the celestial. The Sec system was their ultimate act of weaving the human world into the fabric of the cosmos, a spiritual and astronomical blueprint for an empire. Deep in the heart of Mali, the Dogon people have guarded a celestial mystery that challenges the very timeline of astronomical discovery. For centuries, their oral traditions have described the brightest star in our sky, Sirius, with an astonishing detail. They spoke of a tiny, incredibly heavy companion star that orbits Sirius every 50 years, a star so dense and white that it is invisible to the naked eye. This description is a perfect match for Sirius B, a white dwarf star that was only confirmed by Western astronomers using powerful telescopes in the 19th century. The core of the mystery is this: how could a people without optical instruments know about a star that cannot be seen? The Dogon's knowledge was not a vague reference. Their creation myths described the orbit with precision, and they even held a major ceremony, the Sigwi festival, to celebrate the completion of this 50-year cycle, a festival that aligns with the orbital period of Sirius B. This is not just a lucky guess, it is a deeply embedded piece of their cultural and spiritual identity. The debate surrounding this knowledge is intense. One theory suggests that the Dogon possessed an ancient, profound insight, developed through generations of meticulous observation, perhaps using methods and tools long since lost to history. Their entire cosmological system is intricate, connecting Sirius to the creation of the world and the origin of humanity. Another, more skeptical explanation points to potential cultural contamination. In the 1920s and 30s, Western anthropologists studied the Dogon, and it is possible that visiting astronomers, excited by the recent discovery of Sirius B, might have discussed it with them, and the information was then absorbed into their existing lore. Yet, proponents of the ancient knowledge theory argue that the Dogon descriptions are too specific and too culturally central to be a simple adoption of foreign ideas. They point to Dogon artifacts and sand drawings that seem to represent the Sirius system's orbital dance. So, are we looking at an incredible, independent discovery, a testament to human ingenuity and the power of long-term oral tradition? Or is it a fascinating example of how modern science can become woven into ancient beliefs? The story of the Dogon and Sirius forces us to confront a difficult question. What are the true limits of ancient knowledge, and how much of the cosmos was truly understood by cultures we have long considered isolated from the scientific mainstream? The Babylonians did more than just watch for omens. They built the very first systematic guide to the night sky. That guide survives today, etched into a series of clay tablets known as the Emul-Apin. The name translates to the plough star, which is the constellation we call Triangulum, and this was far more than a simple stargazer's list. It was a comprehensive astronomical compendium, a true textbook of the heavens. Within its cuneiform script, you find meticulously ordered lists of constellations, arranged into 3 distinct paths across the sky, each one dedicated to a different group of gods. These were the original constellations, many of which would later be adapted by the Greeks and form the basis of the zodiac we recognize today. But the Emul-Apin went far beyond just naming stars. It provided a practical, step-by-step manual for using the sky as a clock and a calendar. It detailed which constellations would rise on the eastern horizon just before dawn throughout the year, allowing a priest to know the exact month and season simply by looking up. It even gave instructions for telling time during the night, using a method called the water clock and star transits. A night was divided into 12 equal hours, and the text specified which star groups should be crossing the meridian, the highest point in the sky, for each of those hours on different dates. This transformed the cosmos from a collection of random divine signals into a predictable, mechanical system. The legacy of these tablets is immeasurable. They represent the moment astronomy began to separate itself from pure divination, establishing a rigorous, repeatable method for observing and recording the heavens. This systematic approach, born in the scribble schools of Mesopotamia, would become the bedrock for all the astronomy that followed, from the Greeks to the scholars of the Islamic Golden Age, and eventually to our own modern understanding of the cosmos. Sunlight itself was the final architect of a temple on the coast of India. The Sun Temple of Konark rises from the sands not as a mere building, but as a colossal stone chariot, forever frozen in mid-journey across the heavens. Carved from condylite stone, this monumental structure was designed as the celestial vehicle of Surya, the sun god. Its scale is breathtaking, with 12 pairs of intricately carved wheels, each standing over 3 meters tall, flanking its base. These 24 wheels are far more than decoration. They are a permanent stone embodiment of the day. Each wheel is believed to represent 1 hour, turning the entire temple into a 24-hour clock carved in stone. But the true celestial magic happens at dawn. The temple's main tower, the Vimana, was constructed with such precision that the first rays of the rising sun would stream directly through its main entrance. These beams of light would travel down a darkened hallway like a divine spotlight to illuminate the central statue of the deity enshrined within the sanctum. This was not a vague alignment. The architecture was calibrated so that this phenomenon occurred with special brilliance on specific, auspicious days of the year, perhaps marking equinoxes or solar festivals. The entire complex is a masterclass in symbolic cosmology. The chariot is pulled by 7 mighty stone horses, representing the 7 days of the week, charging eternally toward the east. Every facet of its design, from the wheels marking the hours to the horses marking the days, fuses time, architecture, and faith into a single, unified expression of cosmic order. The builders of Connaught did not just worship the sun, they built it a home that captured its very essence, a machine of stone designed to harness the first light of creation and make the divine tangible, if only for a moment at dawn. 17,000 years ago, in the deep, silent darkness of a cave in what is now France, an artist pressed a hand against the cold rock wall. The world outside was a frozen landscape of Ice Age giants, but here, by the flickering light of an animal fat lamp, they painted a scene that continues to haunt us. This is the shaft scene of Lascaux, a place of profound and intimate mystery. You see a charging bison, its entrails spilled, a man with a bird's head lying prone before it, and a curious bird on a stick. But above them all, just to the right, is a small, carefully painted cluster of 6 distinct dots. For decades, this was seen as a purely shamanic or hunting ritual scene. Yet, a compelling theory suggests these 6 dots are not random decoration. They are a precise map of the Pleiades star cluster, the same 6 stars that are most visible to the naked eye even today. The position of this star map in the scene is crucial. The dying bison could represent the constellation we know as Taurus, the bull, within which the Pleiades resides. The bird-headed man might symbolize a celestial event, perhaps a specific time of year when the Pleiades held a significant position in the night sky. If this interpretation is correct, it means that our Ice Age ancestors were not just surviving, they were actively observing, recording, and storytelling with the cosmos itself. They were marking time not by the days, but by the slow, majestic turn of the stellar clock. This single painting pushes the origins of systematic astronomy back by thousands of years, suggesting that the human urge to find our story in the stars is not a product of civilization, but a fundamental part of what makes us human. Yet another ancient text presents a celestial secret wrapped in divine rebellion. The Book of Enoch, an apocryphal work revered in some ancient Jewish and early Christian traditions, offers a startling origin story for astronomy itself. It speaks of the Watchers, a group of 200 angels who descended to Earth, drawn by the beauty of human women. These fallen beings, led by the angel Sem, a letter 1, E2, 5, Azia H, broke their divine covenant and took human wives. But their transgression went far beyond this. They began to impart forbidden knowledge to humanity, secrets that were meant to remain in the heavens. Among these illicit teachings were the arts of metalworking, the making of weapons, cosmetics, and sorcery. Crucially, they also taught the signs of the earth and the signs of the sun and moon. This phrase is deeply significant. It suggests that the detailed understanding of solar and lunar cycles, the very science of predicting eclipses and charting the seasons, was considered a celestial secret, a power too great for humanity to possess without divine sanction. The text delves into elaborate, almost technical descriptions of the sun's journey through the 12 gates of heaven, a mythological model for its changing path through the year and the moon's own complex phases. This was not simple stargazing, it was a structured cosmology. The Book of Enoch reflects a profound ancient belief that astronomy was not a human invention, but a revealed science gifted or stolen from divine beings. It frames celestial knowledge as both a powerful tool and a potentially dangerous force, one that could corrupt and lead humanity astray as it did the Watchers themselves. This narrative underscores a tension that appears across cultures, the awe and the fear that the predictable yet immense power of the cosmos inspired. It asks us to consider whether the stars were always meant to be our teachers, or if in learning their language we were trespassing on a realm meant only for the gods. While the Konark temple harnessed the sun with ornate wheels, a far more ancient and starkly functional observatory was taking shape in the heart of China. At the Taosi site, dating back over 4,000 years to the Longshan culture, archaeologists uncovered a structure that rewrites the history of Chinese science. It is not a temple or a tomb, but a purely scientific instrument, the oldest known observatory in all of China. The remains consist of a massive semicircular rammed earth platform over 50 feet in diameter. At its center, you can still find the post hole where a central observation pillar once stood. Radiating out from this center point in a clean arc along the platform's outer edge are 13 distinct pillar holes. This was not a random arrangement, it was a precise, giant measuring device. A priest astronomer would stand at the central pillar and look out toward the eastern horizon. The gaps between the 13 outer pillars created narrow slots like the sights on a rifle. On the morning of the winter solstice, the sun would rise perfectly aligned with one specific slot. On the summer solstice, it would rise in alignment with another. This simple, brilliant design allowed them to pinpoint the shortest and longest days of the year with unerring accuracy. This knowledge was the bedrock of their survival. By marking the solstices, the Taosi astronomers could establish a reliable calendar, telling their farming community exactly when to plant their millet and when to prepare for the harvest. The entire agricultural cycle, and thus the fate of the village, was governed by watching the sun slide between these wooden pillars. This is concrete proof that sophisticated astronomical practice, driven by the practical needs of a settled society, was flourishing in China during the Neolithic period, long before the first Chinese dynasties and their famed bronze vessels. It was a science of earth and horizon, a tool that turned the sun's path into a dependable guide for an entire civilization. Fragments of a shattered bronze calendar discovered in a French field in 1897 hold the key to the Celtic mind. This is the Coligny calendar, a monumental inscription from the 2nd century, and it is one of the most sophisticated timekeeping systems of the ancient world. The surviving pieces, when painstakingly reassembled, reveal a 5-year cycle of 62 months, a beautiful and complex dance between the moon and the sun. Each month is clearly divided into 2 halves, a bright half for the waxing moon and a dark half for the waning moon, with each day meticulously marked. But the calendar does more than just track time, it assigns it a spiritual weight. Every single month is boldly inscribed with one of 2 powerful words, mat or annum. Mat meant good or lucky, a time for beginnings, for community gatherings, for launching new ventures. Annum, however, meant not good or unlucky, a period for restraint and caution when the cosmos itself was out of balance. Time itself was not neutral, it pulsed with sacred meaning, and the rhythm of the stars dictated the rhythm of human life. The true genius of the calendar, however, lies in its solution to a fundamental problem. A lunar year of 12 moons is about 11 days shorter than a solar year. If you only follow the moon, your festivals and seasons would slowly drift through the year, with a summer festival eventually occurring in the winter. The Celtic Druids who designed this calendar solved this with a masterstroke of intercalation. Every 2.5 years, they would insert an entire extra month, a 13th moon, into the cycle. This single act kept their lunar calendar perfectly synchronized with the turning of the seasons and the sun's journey across the sky. This was not guesswork. It was a precise mathematical understanding of celestial cycles, proving that the Celtic peoples of Gaul possessed an astronomical knowledge that was both deeply spiritual and rigorously scientific, a system where the moon told the days but the sun ruled the years. Carved into a smooth sandstone surface in the arid landscape of Arizona, Prophecy Rock presents a cryptic message from the deep past. This petroglyph, central to Hopi tradition, is far more than ancient art. It is a complex cosmological map. At its heart, you see two parallel lines, a path that runs from one side of the rock to the other. These are the lines of life, representing the journey of humanity through different eras of existence. Along this path, various symbols are etched with purpose. A circle with a dot in the center is widely interpreted as the sun, while another figure, often a crescent, represents the moon. But the most profound elements are the larger circles that intersect the path. These are thought to symbolize the different worlds or eras that humanity has passed through and will yet encounter. The entire diagram is a narrative of emergence and migration, a story of how the Hopi people came to be in this, the fourth world. The rock tells us that previous worlds were destroyed because humanity fell out of balance, losing respect for the natural and celestial order. The symbols are not just a record, they are a warning and a prophecy. They outline a cycle of creation and dissolution, intimately tied to the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. The final symbol on the path, a figure known as the Great Spirit or Masor, marks the point of decision for this current age. It signifies a choice between two paths, one of continued harmony with the earth and the cosmos, leading to a fifth world of peace, or one of technological arrogance and disconnection, leading to purification and the end of the cycle. This is not an abstract myth. For the Hopi, the rock's teachings are a living guide. Their ceremonial calendar, their agricultural practices, and their entire social structure are designed to maintain this sacred balance. The petroglyph serves as a permanent reminder that human destiny is not separate from the stars, but woven directly into their timeless turning wheel. It asks a question that echoes far beyond the desert. In our own age of rapid change, are we walking the path of harmony, or are we nearing the end of our own world cycle? Far to the east, another civilization was projecting the celestial dragon onto the earth. The sprawling temple complex of Angkor Wat, the heart of the Khmer Empire, rises from the Cambodian jungle as a stone mountain reaching for the heavens. Its iconic 5 towers are a symbol of cosmic order, but a deeper secret lies in its overall design. A compelling theory suggests the entire layout of Angkor Wat is a terrestrial map of the constellation Draco, the dragon, as it appeared in the 12th century. This was not a random choice. In Khmer cosmology, the Naga, or serpent deity, was a powerful symbol of water, fertility, and the bridge between the human and divine worlds. Draco, coiling around the northern celestial pole, would have been seen as the ultimate celestial Naga, the eternal ruler of the night sky. By mirroring its stars with temples and causeways, the Khmer king Suryavarman II was doing more than building a capital. He was anchoring his empire to the axis of the universe. The most striking evidence is the temple's unusual westward orientation. Most Hindu temples face east toward the rising sun. Angkor Wat, however, faces west, the direction of the setting sun and the realm of the ancestors. This orientation perfectly matches the configuration of Draco in the era of its construction, as if the temple was a snapshot of the sky frozen in sandstone. The long processional causeway leading to the central sanctuary could represent the body of the dragon, with the 5 towers mapping the key stars of its head. This celestial mirroring transformed the temple from a place of worship into a permanent conduit of spiritual power. It was a statement that the king's authority was a direct reflection of cosmic law, his earthly dominion sanctioned by the stars above. The very stones of Angkor Wat were meant to be a piece of the heavens on earth, ensuring that the empire would endure for all time, as eternal as the constellations themselves. A Viking ship caught in the open ocean under a featureless grey sky had no need for guesswork. Their sagas speak of a magical tool, the solarstein or sunstone. This was no mythical object, but likely a piece of Iceland spar, a transparent calcite crystal with a remarkable property. When you look through this crystal, you see two images. By rotating the stone until the two images line up and achieve the same intensity of brightness, you can determine the exact position of the sun, even when it is completely hidden behind clouds or just below the horizon. This works because the crystal filters polarized light, the specific kind of light that scatters through the atmosphere in a consistent pattern from the sun's location. It effectively decoded the hidden signature of sunlight in an overcast sky. This gave Norse navigators a critical edge during the long, dim summers of the far north, where the sun might be obscured for days but never truly sets. With the sunstone held aloft, a navigator could pinpoint the sun's bearing, draw a mental line across the overcast dome of the sky, and reorient their ship with stunning accuracy. This simple crystal technology explains one of history's greatest maritime puzzles: how the Vikings managed to cross the treacherous North Atlantic to reach Iceland, Greenland, and even the coast of North America, long before the magnetic compass guided European explorers. Their greatest secret was not a star chart or a complex instrument, but a clear stone that could see the invisible sun. The Giza Plateau holds a secret written not just in stone, but in the very stars above. There is a compelling theory that the three great pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure are not arranged randomly. Their precise layout on the desert floor is a perfect terrestrial mirror of the three bright stars that form the belt of the constellation Orion. Look at an image of Orion's belt, and you will see two stars closely aligned with a third slightly offset, a pattern that matches the ground plan of the pyramids with uncanny accuracy. This was more than an architectural coincidence. It was a deliberate act of cosmic mimicry. In Egyptian mythology, Orion was known as Sa, and he was the celestial representation of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, resurrection, and rebirth. By building their eternal tombs as a reflection of Osiris in the sky, the pharaohs were physically anchoring their souls to this divine cycle. They were ensuring that just as Osiris rose from the dead, they too would awaken to a new life among the imperishable stars. But the celestial alignment does not stop with the ground plan. Look inside the Great Pyramid, and you will find narrow, mysterious shafts leading from the king's and queen's chambers, pointing directly upward. These were not air vents. One set of shafts is precisely aligned to point toward the North Star, the anchor of the northern sky, a symbol of eternal constancy. The other set aimed directly at the belt of Orion and the star Sirius. Sirius, the brightest star, was sacred to the goddess Isis, the wife of Osiris. Its heliacal rising signaled the Nile's flood and the beginning of the new year. So, within the pyramid's core, the pharaoh's spirit was connected to his celestial father, Osiris, in Orion, his celestial mother, Isis, in Sirius, and the eternal axis of the world at the North Star. The entire complex was a machine of stone designed to launch the soul of the king on its ultimate journey, a permanent gateway between the earthly and the divine realms. Buried in the mud of a German forest for 3,600 years, a bronze disc held the secrets of the heavens. The Nebra sky disk, unearthed by looters in 1999, is the oldest known concrete depiction of the cosmos in the entire world. Its surface is a deep blue-green patina, a night sky inlaid with shimmering gold. A radiant full moon and a delicate crescent moon hang in this metal firmament, surrounded by 32 golden stars scattered in a seemingly random pattern. But one cluster of 7 stars is intentionally grouped together, a perfect match for the tiny, sparkling Pleiades. Along the disk's edges, 2 golden arcs sweep from opposite sides, and at the bottom, a final, mysterious arc rests, fringed with short strokes that look like rays or oars. The arrangement is too deliberate to be mere decoration. This was a sophisticated model of the sky, but what was its true purpose? Was it a practical astronomical calculator? The two opposing arcs are each 82 degrees wide, a measurement that perfectly matches the angle between the sunrise points on the horizon from the summer to the winter solstice at the specific latitude where the disk was found. A priest or chieftain could have used this object to determine the correct times for planting and harvest by aligning it with the real horizon. The lower arc, often called a solar barge, suggests a mythological element representing the boat that carried the sun through the underworld at night. This fusion of precise science and deep spirituality is what makes the disk so compelling. It could also have been a powerful symbol of authority. For a Bronze Age chief, possessing this object meant you held the ultimate power, the knowledge of the seasons and the will of the gods. You could literally show your people the sky in your hands, proving your divine right to rule. The Nebra sky disk is a portable cosmos, a single object that blurs the line between observatory, temple, and crown, embodying the moment a leader's power became inextricably linked to the stars. Scattered across the Maya lowlands, a peculiar architectural signature repeats itself. At sites like Uaxactun and Caracol, archaeologists identified a distinct layout they termed an E-group. The design is deceptively simple. A tall, radial pyramid stands to the west, facing a long, low platform to the east. On this platform, three smaller structures are arranged in a row. From the ground, it looks like a ceremonial plaza, but from the top of the western pyramid, it transforms into a massive, stone-built solar instrument. The Maya engineered these complexes with one primary function: to capture the sun's journey at its most critical turning points. On the morning of the spring equinox, an observer atop the pyramid would witness the sun rise directly over the northernmost structure on the eastern platform. As the days lengthened, the sunrise point would creep southward along the horizon. Then, on the summer solstice, the sun would crown the center structure. After that, it would begin its slow return journey, passing the central marker again at the autumn equinox, and finally rising over the southernmost structure on the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice. This was not a passive observation. It was an active, precise calibration of time and space. The entire agricultural cycle of the Maya hung on this celestial clock. The precise date of the solstices and equinoxes told them exactly when to burn the forests for new fields, when to plant the life-giving maize, and when to expect the vital rains. But the E-group's purpose ran deeper than the practical. These events were also moments of high drama in their cosmology, times when the veil between the human world and the supernatural realm was believed to be at its thinnest. Ceremonies held at these precise moments were acts of cosmic maintenance, rituals designed to ensure the sun would continue its journey and the world would not fall into eternal darkness. The E-group was both almanac and altar, a fusion of architecture and astronomy that governed the rhythm of an entire civilization, from the farmer in his milpa to the king in his temple. High on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, the temple of Apollo at Delphi was believed to be the very center of the world. Its legendary oracle, the Pythia, inhaled vapors rising from a fissure in the earth to deliver prophecies that shaped the fate of kings and colonies. But beneath this well-known religious role lies a tantalizing celestial secret. The temple's precise placement and orientation were not arbitrary. Its main axis points toward the rising sun on specific significant dates, framing the dawn light within its sacred doorway during key moments of the year. This alignment suggests the priests of Delphi were not only listening to the earth but also watching the heavens. The intoxicating vapors that sent the Pythia into her divine trance were themselves a geological mystery. Some researchers propose these gases did not emerge at random, but that the fissure itself, the very mouth of the earth, could have been aligned with celestial events. Imagine the profound symbolism of a sacred chasm, believed to be a direct line to the gods below, positioned in harmony with the sun or stars above. It creates a perfect axis mundi, a spiritual pivot connecting the underworld, the human world, and the cosmos. This celestial connection extended to the prophecies themselves. When a city-state sought the oracle's counsel before launching a war or founding a new city, her often cryptic words were interpreted by priests. These interpretations were deeply influenced by the celestial backdrop. If a comet, an unpredictable hairy star, had recently been seen blazing in the night sky, it was considered a dire omen of upheaval. The priests might then frame the Pythia's words as a warning against aggression. Conversely, a favorable prophecy might be reinforced if it coincided with the harmonious presence of certain planets or the predictable, reassuring cycle of a lunar phase. The oracle's power, therefore, was a fusion of the terrestrial and the celestial. It was the mysterious breath of the earth channeled through a woman, interpreted by learned men who read the sky, and delivered in a temple built to capture the light of the sun. This was not mere superstition. It was a sophisticated system of divination that used the entire universe, from the cracks in the ground to the comets in the sky, to guide the course of human history. A lost library of the cosmos may have been hiding in plain sight for centuries. Beneath the words of a medieval Christian manuscript, researchers discovered the ghostly traces of a far older text, a palimpsest where the original writing had been scraped away so the precious parchment could be reused. Using multispectral imaging, a technique that captures light beyond the visible spectrum, they peered through the surface and uncovered a stunning secret. These erased Greek letters were not just any text, they were fragments of the long-lost star catalogue of Hipparchus, compiled around 135 years before the Common Era. Before this discovery, Hipparchus' work was known only through references by later astronomers. He was a legendary figure, credited with creating the first comprehensive map of the entire western night sky, but his original catalogue was considered gone forever, a phantom of scholarly history. The recovered passages reveal meticulous records of stellar coordinates, detailing the precise positions of constellations like Corona Borealis. The accuracy is what truly staggers the modern mind. Hipparchus' measurements of these star positions are astonishingly precise, often within a single degree of their actual location. To achieve this, he could not have relied on simple guesswork. He almost certainly used an intricate instrument called an armillary sphere, a complex model of rings representing celestial circles, which allowed him to calculate the longitude and latitude of stars with a rigor no one had managed before. This was the foundational act of Western astronomy. Hipparchus' catalogue provided the raw data, the celestial bedrock upon which all future star maps were built. It influenced Ptolemy, shaped the Islamic Golden Age, and guided Renaissance thinkers. His work marks the moment the night sky was transformed from a realm of stories into a space that could be measured, mapped, and understood with mathematical certainty. The ghostly writing beneath that parchment proves that the greatest ancient secrets are not always carved in stone, but sometimes written in vanishing ink, waiting centuries for the right light to bring them back. From the Ice Age caves of Lascaux to the high-tech gears of the Antikythera Mechanism, these 30 celestial secrets paint a breathtaking portrait of human ingenuity. Cultures separated by oceans and millennia all turned their eyes to the same stars, driven by the same fundamental need to understand the great cosmic clockwork and their own place within it. Whether they were predicting the Nile's flood by the rise of Sirius, launching wars under the baleful eye of Venus, or navigating vast oceans with nothing but a star compass and a sunstone, our ancestors demonstrated a profound and sophisticated relationship with the heavens. Their knowledge was not merely practical, it was the very soul of their civilizations, woven into their temples, their calendars, their myths, and their deepest spiritual beliefs. This shared legacy reveals something essential about us. It shows that the drive to map the cosmos is a universal human trait, a timeless quest for order, meaning, and connection that transcends any single culture or era. We are all inheritors of this ancient wonder, So the next time you find yourself under a clear night sky, take a moment to simply look up. See beyond the distant points of light to the stories, the calendars, the gods, and the incredible depth of knowledge written there. Which of these ancient celestial mysteries resonates most deeply with you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you are eager for more journeys into the unknown, be sure to subscribe.